Hello, it's me, Chase. I wanted to do really quickly here, kind of in relation to my last video about my story, kind of like quickly just mention something that um, one of the benefits of uh, um, outlining your story that I've discovered has been really, really cool is, um, like I said in the last video, one, resetting. But I'm also making certain adjustments um, in the story that are based on what I've outlined as far as I've gotten into book four. So it's kind of cool to see that because, like, in you because book one still has an effect on what's going to happen all the way into book four. Now I figured, why am I starting to write again? Well, I figured, I'm 4 books in. I think I'm safe to start writing book one now. um, Even though, once again, both book 3 and four's outline are going to have to be adjusted a little bit. But again, I can make these adjustments as I'm going, and I'm still doing the outlining as I'm writing book one. So it's anyways. But one of the things that I was thinking about as I was eating breakfast this morning is about the outlines. That I'm really glad I'm doing that. Is, I have in the story 2 characters. They're twins, and they're like, in their teenage years, sort of like 13ish, kind of when the book starts. Obviously, they're going to get older as the book goes, or the series goes. But they're twins. One's a boy, one's a girl. The girl's name is Tanis. The boy's name is Coven. And I had always liked the idea of Tanis being sort of my tinkering character, the one who invents things, sort of my version of Tony Stark, you might say. Not exactly like that, but sort of like that. She's always kind of had this engineering mind, and I came up with that idea before Hollywood decided to start doing that with women. Just for the record. I didn't do that with Tanis because I want to be hip and, let's see, the ladies, be as smart as they get. That's not the reason why. I just thought it would be kind of cool to see if it was a little bit different. If, like, it's usually some sort of crazy genius who's making all the gadgets for the good guys. This time it was a girl, and she wasn't, some stereotypical, weirdo geek person, dude. So anyways, that's kind of what I had for Tanis. That's kind of what Tanis is. She's just really good at just tinkering with things and machines and mechanisms and stuff like that. And I thought about, like, what am I gonna do with Coven though? What am I? I don't really know what to do with Coven. And I thought about not even including Coven because I didn't know what to do with him for the longest time. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just make Coven sort of like just a mechanic kind of character, But I just thought that was lazy. I just thought that, you're just trying to come up with something with him, And that's not a reason to make a character like that, just to try to come up with something. Usually that just means you shouldn't have that character in there at all. And I was contemplating that, but I didn't want to go there. I wanted a character in the story that could serve as something of a for Stratos, who befriends Tanis and Coven, someone who is going to push Stratos into maturing more. And obviously you can do that with either a boy or a girl, but I liked the idea of a boy, just because it kind of makes Stratos have to be like an example for Coven on how to grow up and be a man. But then Stratos himself isn't really much of a man either at this point in the story when they meet. And so it kind of forces Stratos to have to become that, to be a better example for Coven. So I didn't know what to do with Coven. I was just, but as time went on, I was thinking about this, and as I'm writing, it dawned on me that, I want to explore the spiritual realm a lot more. As a Christian who comes sort of from a reformedish background, sort of the MacArthur type kind of background, no longer kind of in that mode of thinking, it's really cool to be able to just let a lot of that anti-charismatic mentality go. Not that I'm for a lot of the Looney Tune charismatic stuff. Just like my buddy Albert says, he likes the way he puts it, and I love that the way he puts it. I'm charismatic with a seatbelt, like that. I'm like, I like that description a lot. So, anyways, but having let go of a lot of stuff, now I really like to explore a lot of the spiritual kind of stuff, and ghosts and haunting spirits in the story and in the world. And so one of the things you're going to see change a little bit in the first book and even in the second book is the idea of spirits haunting areas. And I'm going to be putting in the story sort of this new category of magic, you might say, where there are these individuals that are kind of, I'm taking a little bit of an inspiration from a game I played some time ago called Kaina Bridge of Spirits. I really like that game. I'm taking a lot of themes from that, but it's so in this new category I'm going to have is basically spirit guides, just like it's called in Kaina Bridge of Spirits. Now, the cool thing about this is the spirit guides in my story don't need to be masters, in other words, they don't have to actually have the ability to use magic. Not everybody in my world can use magic, only certain people. But spirit guides in my story don't have to be masters. They just have to have a unique connection to the spiritual realm, and I thought that could be Coven. I could make that Coven. Because it would really work out for future ideas I want to do with Coven and Bella, who becomes, Coven and Bella, they meet eventually, and they become very close. And when they grow up, they get older, they kind of become love interests in a very difficult relationship that's going to be anyways. So I'm gonna make Coven. I was like, I think I could do that with Coven. And so I've been setting things up for Coven to where, like, in the beginning, you're gonna look at Coven and be like, and he's gonna feel the same way. It's like, why am I even here? I feel useless. I feel like I'm not good at anything. Everybody looks to my sister for help in making this and making that. They need this. She fixes guns and stuff for people and whatever. And what do? I don't do anything. Excuse me. But and there's going to be that sense of uselessness from him, and I'm doing that deliberately because eventually he's going to find his calling as a spirit guide, and he's going to help in a problem that starts in the story, but there's no solution to it yet, which is haunting spirits. And like for all of time, nobody's known how to deal with these spirits because when you think about ghosts, are ghosts real? I don't know. I mean, maybe. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're not. Whatever. I know they're spirits. There are spirits. I believe there are many spirits around us and stuff. We just don't see them. The spiritual realm around us. But like, it's funny to see movies and stuff that talk about killing ghosts and stuff. And I'm like, how do you kill something that's immaterial? I don't want to do that cliche in my story. I want something a little bit different. And so it's not about killing a ghost. It's about allowing a restless spirit to finally be at peace. And so I don't want to view the ghosts and the spirits in my world as necessarily evil, as much as they are pieces of a spirit that has passed on not at peace and has become deeply attached to the place in which they died. And so the goal of the spirit guide is to discover what that is and help the spirit move on, because otherwise the land becomes corrupted over time. And so in the story, what I'm going to have is there's over time, nobody's known how to deal with the ghosts and the spirits. And so the only way they know how to deal with it is to either burn the area down, the whole place down, or to find some way to trap the spirit and to leave it trapped. But of course, it's sort of a band-aid on an infected wound. It doesn't really fix the problem. And that's sort of my representation. That's going to be my representation of the development of sort of, I guess you might say, psychology over the last several decades or so. The way we've treated mental illness over the last several decades was not great, as we've been discovering some new ways to, and I've encountered a lot of this. It's been very helpful for me in my own struggles with, I'm not saying I'm mentally ill, but like we all got issues, and trying to figure out what makes us tick, what and how to deal with that properly. I've been very fascinated with that subject. And so this is sort of my way of dealing with that. And the whole burning it down is the only way people have been able to figure out. It's sort of my way of critiquing the standard way we seem to think things today, which is kind of like just sucking it up, just it is what it is, that's not dealing with what's really hurting somebody. And so that's kind of the way I'm symbolically, you might say, addressing that issue, where people in this world, they don't know how to deal with this, so they don't know anything about it. All they know is some evil spirit, so they just burn the place down, and they destroy more than they actually do any good. Or they trap it, in other words, suppress it, and that doesn't help either. But the spirit guide is different, because the spirit guide is trying to find, and it's a harder task, obviously, just like when you're trying to do real therapy and someone who really cares about you is actually trying to help you along with what's going on with you. That's a more difficult task, and that's why a lot of people don't like to do that, because it's harder. But when you find success, then it's such a rewarding thing. And that's kind of what happens in the story, symbolically. When the spirit is able to actually pass on, the land is restored, and something more beautiful than before grows out of the area. And so that's kind of what I want to explore, the spirit guides and these haunting spirits. Anyways, that's what I'm going to do with Coven. I'm going to have Coven be that kind of a character, and it's going to help him grow into a more proper man. He's going to he's going to realize that, there are so many restless spirits in the world, and they need help, and he wants to help them. And that's going to play a pivotal role in the story. It's going to also play a pivotal role in his sort of saving Bella from her own self-destruction. Much later on in the story, Bella's not quite at that point yet. That's so. Anyways, that's so, because I know that now. Because I've written ahead. That's going to allow me to begin building up to that right now in the books. Do I want to have Anastaria in the first book encounter some of these spirits in some way, shape, or form? So now I think about these things that I can add to the story that are going to enrich the story much later on. Like right now, obviously in the first book, for me, the focus is on Anastaria and who she is, and sort of giving you crumbs, you might say, of the world, the richness of the world that Anastaria is in, that she's not just like the places, and it's important for me that the world itself is existing apart from the main characters. In other words, I don't want to just be making things up as the character is going, a world that's just sort of developing as the character is moving through it. Sort of like the world revolves around the character. I don't want that at all. I want there to be an actual world that is still functioning, whether or not Anastaria moves to this place or goes to that place, whatever. Doesn't mean I'm going to actually be talking about those things, but The point is that as she's going through places, or as any of my characters are going through places, things are already happening that have been happening, and they're not just happening because the character walked into the place. So, but it allows me to enrich that, you know, and to just think about, okay, you know, because now that I'm aware of this, now I can incorporate it into the story as it goes and maintain that consistency throughout. That's what the whole point is of outlines. It's helping to maintain consistency. And so it's been really, that's just like a little bit of an example of how, why it's really good to do outlines. And I've been enjoying doing the outlines. So anyways, just wanted a little thing with that. So anyways, I hope this is helpful for any other writers or anybody who's interested in my story. I hope that piques your interest even more. But all right, gotta go. Soli Deo Gloria. God bless. Bye.